your food, and if you can get to the weight room, get to the weight room. If you can get back in to shoot, get back in to shoot. But otherwise, take care of your studies first, and finish strong academically. We've got a really solid GPA right now, and we don't want to do anything to hurt it. But that's why they're here, and we've got a couple now that are headed into their last semester, and they need to be focused big. And Shelby and Rakisha, but we also don't have a game right in front of us. So this morning we actually got to spend some time on footwork on defense, and we got to spend a little time screening, working on some screening stuff that we think we can do to bother folks.
We talked about to begin a season, you work on the conditioning and then the fundamentals, and then during the season you just don't have time to do that at all.
No, not really. We spend 15, 20, 30 minutes a day still on fundamentals, and that's the high school, junior high coaching me coming out, but I just can't. We work on passing, catching, cutting, layups, free throw. I can't. And no matter what kind of practice we do, if I ever skip those, we have a bad practice. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't skip anything now. I mean, we may cut it very short and condense, but we're always going to work on fundamentals, and then we start trying to do things that we think we need to do to get better. And but it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm going to ask Coach James this when we get him on, but what's the one basic fundamental that a lot of college players really struggle with? And you'd be surprised, or is it different from player to player?
Passing and catching.
Just basic passing.
Passing and catching. That's. You'd be shocked at how many of them struggle with, if you put some pressure on them, how they handle passing and catching. And we drill it with pressure on them to try to prepare them for it, and we try to make them mentally tough to handle it. But you'd be surprised, and especially using their left hand, it's unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. You should come in there the first day we practice and watch the young ones use their left hand.
Are they embarrassed to be at this level and not be proficient with their left hand?
They don't realize it.
Yeah.
They have no idea until they look at what the other ones are doing. And then they kind of, usually they say, well, those are juniors and seniors. Mm-hmm. They give themselves an excuse. But the truth of the matter is, if they're a Division I athlete, you ought to be able to pass with your left hand.
Yeah.
But you'd be shocked.
But if they were not on a really good high school team or were athletic enough where they never had to use that.
They never asked to. Yeah, they never had to.
Look, I had wrist surgery on my left hand, and I had no idea how much I used my left hand until I didn't have, or how little I used my left hand and now I haven't done the rehab I need to do because I don't have to use it.
Well, one of the funny things that we used to do in high school was we would challenge our kids for a week in like October or September or something like that. We'd say, okay, open a door with your left hand, brush your teeth with your left hand, comb your hair with your left hand, wash your hair with your left hand, and eat with your left hand, and do that for a week and see. And they all of them come back going, oh my gosh, my left hand can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just can't do it. So
on this team, who is the best player with both hands?
Passing, catching, everything.
Everything.
Butler.
Heather Butler.
Yeah. She's the strongest with either hand.
She's worked on it, and for some though it comes more naturally than others.
She's had to work, and she played for me and Russell in high school, and so we drilled it every single day. Megan White's very good with both hands, but Schubert's pretty good with both hands, very good for a young kid, but she's coming. But there's a lot that don't like it. I mean, they all can do it now, and they get by, but getting by and being strong with it and knowing where it's going is a little different story.
Some of the statistics that we look at, one is that against the top teams that you played, the top 4 teams, Heather Butler's had some of her best games. She's averaging 25.2 points a game against the top 20 opponents.
Well, if we're going to beat one of those, she and Newsom have to have huge games. And so that's good to see, because she struggled against Duke, and she struggled against Tennessee, and so I think that's probably out of her system now, and Jasmine's, and we're going to have them to beat those kind of teams.
We talked in a postgame yesterday, Jasmine's shooting percentages were a little down. You had said in one of our interviews, maybe she's rushing things a little bit. In the game against Purdue yesterday in the first half, she just looked so patient and knocked down a couple of inside shots and then worked her way out and hit some outside shots.
Well, they both, You put them in a situation to play all these big schools, and they're going to learn, and they're going to figure out how to compete. And I think that's what you've seen. There's nothing coaching-wise that we've told them or have drilled with them. It's just if you keep putting those people in front of them, they're going to figure out a way to compete. And that's the bottom line on why our team is competing better, is because those two are
adapting. Free throw percentage, you're 49th in the country at 73.6%. As a team, where would you like to see your club?
We need to be 80.
Okay.
We need to be right at 80.
You're knocking down 8.2 three-pointers per game. That's 11th in the country. You played Missouri earlier this year. They're hitting at a 9.8 per game average.
We ought to 8, 9, anywhere in there is fine.
Mm-hmm. There have been some games though, and especially last year when we hit 15 in one game, maybe, didn't we? Turnovers per game. This is a phenomenal number. It's obviously because of your guard play, but only 10 turnovers or 12.8 turnovers a game, which is 10th in the country.
That's good. That's where I'd like to be. Anywhere from 12 below is really, really good.
With that, your assist-to-turnover ratio is good with all of the assists and fewer turnovers, and 29th in the country at 1.02.
That should be better.
Okay.
We led the country in that last year.
That means you get one assist
for every turnover. It needs to be about one. I mean, the best in the country is going to be somewhere around 1.5, and that's what we were. We were 1.43 or 4.4 last year, and it was good enough, and that's probably what's leading it.
There are a lot of teams where they have more turnovers than assists.
Oh, the majority do.
Yeah.
I would say 90% do.
What does that mean? It means you are taking too many chances. You're not using your left hand.
You can't handle the ball as well because you haven't used your left hand.
Your points per game from Heather Butler and Jasmine Newsom at 21.5 and 20.9 are 11th and 15th in the country. That was better last year, or higher last year.
Probably was. We're not scoring quite as many points in that, but those two are solid.
Jasmine Newsom, as many points as she scores, is averaging 6.1 assists per game, which is 21st in the country. Her assist numbers have gotten better every year.
Well, she's an unbelievable passer, and it's her finding people and people figuring out, where they need to be and how to put the ball in the hole. It's not rocket science.
I really thought, and this is the first time I'd seen this national list, with Jasmine averaging 3.36 steals per game, that would be top 10. That's 35th in the country, and again, I think those numbers are close. But there's a young lady named Jocelyn Floyd who's averaging almost 5.5 steals a game. I don't know how that's possible.
Oh, it's a ton. But a lot of it's the competition you're playing. I mean, if you want to, these stats are really good when you consider the caliber of teams that we've played up until now, and you don't know what everybody else is doing at this point.
At her 3.36 steals per game, I wonder how many deflections she gets a game.
Quite a few.
Or how many other players get a steal and she's the one who tips it or taps it away from them.
Quite a few.
Good number. You have that if you want to. Coach, you got Indiana State coming up Sunday. As we talked, you'll work in practice this week. But Indiana State, that's a team you've seen the last few years.
We played them twice 2 years ago. We played them last year. They've beaten us 2 out of 3, the 2 up there, and we beat them once down here. A little different team than they were. They had a real big girl that had a career night against us every night we played. And but they're a very, very good basketball team out of the Missouri Valley, which is one of the top 12 school conferences in the country, and they're picked right in the middle. So they're going to be a great test for us, especially coming off exams. But we'll hopefully be a little better prepared, and we'll start moving forward. I mean, it's that time of year where you're starting to see conference looming ahead pretty close. I mean, 2 weeks from now, I guess it's 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, from tonight, we'll be playing the first conference game, and it's amazing how fast things go. It's like we're in the middle of December, Christmas isn't quite here, and we're going to blink twice, and we're going to be in February.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got to be ready for these challenges. The only thing that I don't know is what this part of the season is going to mean for us at the end and in the middle. The questions that we have are: will the grueling schedule that we put these kids through, is it going to pay off at the end, or will we have been worn out? You don't know. It's a 50-50 flip a coin.
Wait, we're out of time. But 3 years ago, you played how many road games out of your 9?
I think we played 10.
10 and maybe one home game. What's tougher, a tougher competition or a lot of road games? I mean, if you're playing good teams but you're at home, is that easier than playing mediocre teams all on the road?
Mentally, it's tougher to go on the road. Physically, it's tougher to play the top teams. So if you really want to get bad, to go play all those teams, mentally go play them on their home floor.
That's the worst case.
That's the worst case scenario.
But I see in sports like football, you really can get beat up and banged up if you're playing some really good teams. Is it the same in basketball?
Well, I mean, you saw the size of the Purdue kids and how much banging and Butler did.
Yeah.
They're sore today.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's a it's a definite challenge when you play those schools, and mentally it's a lot tougher. And so, we don't know what kind of effect that's going to have on us this year, but we're looking at things going, if we're going to get better, we need to try. And so that's why we scheduled them all.
Awesome. We'll see you Sunday. Thank you.